This is a quick tutorial on how to use several different types of multimeters. Just do some very basic measurements: current, voltage, resistance, and continuity. We'll be going through a wide number of voltmeters, starting with the standard class multimeter, which has a designation MAS830L on it. I'm going to start by measuring voltage. Here is our 1.5 volt battery. I'm also going to be using a 10 kilo ohm resistor, in addition to a couple different leads. For clarity's sake, I'm going to keep the red lead on the red alligator clip and the black lead on the black alligator clip. Let's start by measuring voltage. Getting into range for 1.5 volts, which would mean the 2 volt range on this manual ranging meter. All right, and of course 1.5 volts. To measure resistance, I always disconnect from the voltage supply. So voltage is measured across 2 points. Resistance is measured with power disconnected. Let's change over to the ohm setting. At some range, we'll have to determine exactly what, so we get there. I'm on the 200K setting. I'm reading 10. I always drop one range down. So reading just about 10 kilo ohms. So that's 9.85 kilo ohms. 9.8 kilo ohms, same number. And I don't get very much resolution at all when I'm on the top scale, 2 mega ohms. And of course, if I go too low, I get an overload because I am above the range. I'm much greater than 2 kilo ohms. So again, I have to find the lowest range that gives me a reading to get the most number of significant figures in the reading. All right, finally, current for this meter. We turn off. We always take a look at what our probes say. This particular meter, we keep the probes in the same location for both voltage, resistance, and current. You can see the milliamp designation there. And bring in the yellow lead. I'm going to use that to complete the circuit, because while resistance is measured without power sources and voltage is measured across a functioning circuit, current is measured through a circuit by breaking it and inserting the current probe into the current path. So we'll be completing our circuit from the red, the meter, to the resistor, and the battery, and then back through the resistor. Let's check that this makes sense. Tidy up my wires a little bit. I've got the battery in series with the resistor and running through the voltmeter. And now we can go to current mode. So current, I'm measuring 0.159 milliamps. 0.16 on the bigger scale. If we go down to the microamp scale, that would be 145 microamps. So those all about agree. 145.7 microamps is very close to 0.158 milliamps, or 0.16 milliamps. And I basically am not able to get a reading on the lower ranges, which are too small. I would only use the 10 amp setting if I was actually measuring very high currents, which we won't be doing in the class. In that case, I would have to move my probe over to the 10 amp setting. That is, of course, because of the half amp fuse, which is inside this power meter. So that's current, voltage, and resistance on the MAS830L.